Welcome back to Champions TV, and this is Nature Talk. Riparian zones with stagnant water are also known as wetlands. And so, what are wetlands?
So as you've just said, wetland areas, these are the riparian zones that hold water, stagnant water. Example, they have the swamps, floodplains, bogs. Yeah? Now, for example, in swamp areas, we have land. It has hydric soils which hold a lot of water for a long time. These wetland areas help in this way. In case of floods, and you had mentioned early on, in case of floods, these wetland areas hold the water and prevent the water from doing the destruction that flood areas are doing. Encroachment of such areas like wetlands and riparian zones is what is contributing to our country having a lot of floods. Construction in these wetland areas destroys the pathway of the water, meaning that the water that is flowing during floods has to get other ways to flow away, to flow into oceans, major lakes, etc. Now, when the natural pathway is blocked by a building, the water has to look for another way. That's where you find water that is flowing on our roads. Water is in our houses, water is in our farmland. This is because our construction, our agriculture is in the wrong places and should be done in other areas, not in the wetlands areas, not in the riparian zones. Yes.
So in Kenya, what are some of the few examples of wetlands?
In Kenya, we consider all the lakes in the Rift Valley wetlands, that is Lake Elementaita, Lake Naivasha, Lake Nakuru, just to mention a few. Rivers are also wetlands. The Indian Ocean is a wetlands. A major lake that is a wetland area in Kenya is Lake Victoria itself also. It's a very big and major wetland area in Kenya and Africa in general. We also have our Indian Ocean. We have our mangrove vegetation that is in Gazi, Malindi, Diani. All the mangrove vegetation that we have at our coastal areas is also considered a wetland area. Yeah.
What about the importance of wetlands?
Now, wetland areas are very, 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 very important. This is because, number one, wetland areas hold water. When they hold water, the water filtrates inside. That is called groundwater recharge. That when it filtrates inside, it is stored in the aquifer, that when people drill borehole, they get water. Number two is that wetland areas, the water that is held in wetland areas will be discharged at an outlet. That is called groundwater discharger. They help in the recharge and discharge of groundwater. Number two is they help in controlling floods. Wetland areas are important habitats for both plants and animals in Kenya. Birds, animals drink water from there. Actually, wetland areas are also areas where our migration corridors are found in migration corridors of animals such elephants. Yeah, when elephants migrate, the wetlands areas that have hold water during desert climate, that is where the animals that are migrating get water from. Yeah, they are very, very important.
What about the issue of coastal protection?
Yes, definitely. In the coastal area, the wetlands in coastal areas are very important. For example, the mangrove and the coral reefs inside the ocean have a very good relationship. This is how they relate. When rivers are entering the ocean, they come with soil. Yeah. When they come with soil, the mangrove ecosystem that is at the coast help in the sedimentation of these soil particles to allow flow of clean water into the ocean. This is important because when there is a lot of sediments in the ocean, there is reduction of sunlight, penetration of sunlight rays from the sun into the water, which is very important. The sun is very important in the protection and preservation of the coral reefs. We also know that coral reefs has a lot of life around it. It's a mother place of all fish, crabs, all animals in the ocean depend on these coral reefs. So the protection of the coral reefs is very important in the protection of the species inside the ocean and the biodiversity in there. Now, on the other hand, the coral reefs protect the mangrove and the coastal shores from waves that are coming from the ocean. You see, so they have a very good relationship that must be maintained. Destruction of one side may cause destruction to the other side. Yeah.
Okay. And now you have talked about the coral reefs.
Yes.
What are some of the importance of these coral reefs?
Coral reefs are important because they are the major habitat to all major species of plants. Plants live in the coral reefs. Yeah? These same plants are the same plants that are eaten by the small fish. The small fish is eaten by a big fish. So a coral reef is actually considered to be like the primary producer of the ocean. Yeah, they produce a habitat where the fish can live and also provide it with food for the small fishes which are eaten by the big fishes, and the food web continues. So the coral reefs are very, very important in our oceans. Okay. Yes.
And what are some of the threats that wetlands are facing currently?
Yeah, I will start with the ocean as we are talking about it. Is that there is a lot of coral reef destruction. This is done by removing the coral reefs to sell to tourists, put on a private coral reefs in their home. The destruction of the coral reefs is very, very dangerous. The cutting down of mangrove trees in Gazi, in the coastal areas, yeah, has led to loss of very many species because of the sedimentation, and also the animals that the mangroves hold, the bird species, because our mangrove ecosystem in coast is very rich in bird species also. Yeah, the destruction or reclamation of wetland areas like swamps in the inland areas, and the construction of building also there. This has led to a lot of floods, as you can see here. There is a major decrease in the water. We have the groundwater we have. So the springs that discharge water from the groundwater are drying up. We don't have water that is being discharged as springs no more. There is also loss of very many animals, bird species that die, e.g. the pelicans. If we were to destroy to build hotels and major hotels in areas like Eventaita, we will lose our pelicans. Yeah, you see, like the destruction also of Lake Nakuru, such areas, or Lake Baringo. Right now we have excess water there, has led to the loss of our flamingos, because Kenya is facing a period of low numbers of flamingos, but now all the flamingos that are in Kenya, are supposed to be in Kenya, are concentrated in Tanzania in Lake Natron. Yeah, so destruction of these wetland areas has a very major loss in Kenya, because also there is no tourism. Nobody is going to these areas because there are no more birds to watch. There is no sightseeing to see. Yeah, animals are dying. So our wetlands area should be conserved and preserved and protected also, because they are very, very major part of our biomes. Yeah.
And you have talked about the coral reefs. They are being overexploited especially by these beach boys.
Yes.
So what are some of the things that can be done in order to reduce the issue of exploitation of coral?
Yes, there is something that is being done. We have the marine reserve or marine parks, which are gazetted by the Kenya Wildlife Service Board. So the marine park and marine reserve are protecting the major coral reefs from exploitation. That they've set aside no-go zones for fishermen, for beach people, that anybody who is seen in such areas will be arrested and will face the full force of the law. Such measures and such policies and such activities that are being taken out by Kenya Wildlife Services are the ones that are protecting our coral reefs, and so far it works. It is working, yes.
So in your opinion, it's working?
Yeah, it is working. The coral reefs are being protected, yeah. Yes.
And what about the wetlands in general? What are some of the conservation efforts that have been put in place?
Conservation effort number one that I usually insist, and I will always do this, is education. People have to be taught. People have to be informed. Information must flow from top to bottom. Yeah. Right now, we have the government of Kenya destroying a lot, demolishing buildings and doing everything about it. But how many people in Kenya are understanding why this is happening? A very few number of people are understanding. Very few people even actually understand the meaning of a riparian. Yeah, it's going all over social media as a meme because people are not understanding what a riparian zone is. So with the proper education, most people will understand what is going on, because that is a protective measure the government is taking. Yeah, the demolishing of this building. Yeah, we've seen it in our television, in our news, but they have not done the first part of it. Like they are eating raw food instead of cooked food. Yeah, they should have cooked the food by educating people, the Kenyan community, and everybody in general. Then after people have educated, that's where we come to now, taking action. We've educated you. Is this what they're doing is right? But nobody's understanding where they're doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it should be quality education, and it should also be understood.
Yes, information flow is very, very important in such activities. Most people don't understand. They say maybe an area like Westlands, UK is in Westlands, yeah? That's a riparian zone. But most people, even who are working there, do not understand what that is. So I think we should invest in a creation of awareness and education of our communities on what are riparian zones, and nature in general, all nature, wildlife, plants, the ocean, people should be educated. After education, that's where we start taking such actions. Yeah.
Okay. And actually, when you go through your social media, about when NEMA had said that these buildings should be brought down, there are some people who are saying bringing down the buildings is not the solution. It's about diverting the rivers. Is that really possible in your own opinion?
No, it's not possible. You can't. You will divert a river for now, but after 10 years you'll come back, because water has to flow in its original channel, because you'll divert a river during the, let's say, the low rains or the dry season, because it is very possible. But during the wet season, when there is a lot of rain, a lot of floods, you cannot be able to control such natural phenomena. So I don't think that is even possible and should even be considered. We should actually stay away and conserve these areas as tourist attraction sites, as maybe nature trail sites, and to get ways to get money from these wetlands and riparian zones apart from what you're doing, and stop what you're doing, because people are building doing construction in riparian zones so that they can get money. People are doing agriculture in these areas so that they can get money. Yeah, that is the end goal, to get money. So what I'm saying is that we should protect this and conserve these areas and try and get money from these areas in other forms that protect them, not in forms that destroy these. So, yeah.
And the issue of maybe you declare a site a wetland, or you declare it a riparian zone. Can it also help to promote the conservation of riparian zones?
Yes, as I said earlier, gazettement of areas like in the ocean, we have the marine reserve and marine park. Gazettement of such areas has actually led to communities understanding the importance of such areas and actually not going there. We have in Gazi, in Diani, Kwale County, Gazi area, we have a forum of women and youth called Mikoko Pamoja Initiative, where the community has been taught the importance of the mangrove wetland area, and actually people are actually preserving and restoring the mangrove in that area through reforestation and afforestation. You see, involvement of such a community, the community has found a way of earning from the mangrove, with the mangrove being available, instead of them cutting down the mangrove to earn money. You see, so we can actually live and have a very good relationship with these areas. It is just for us to take the initiative. Yeah.
Okay, so when the community begins to take the initiative, then that conservation must always be positive. So maybe you can just tell us your closing remarks.
Our riparian zones and wetland areas are very important, and we should take time and deeply invest in the conservation of these areas. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Champions TV. Until next time, have a nice time.